Hello, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping, and I'm an Independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. And today I'm going to share with you how I made this card, which I made for the Inspiration blog hop with the Creativity Abounds team. I'm a new member there, and every month we have an inspiration hop for you where we produce a card on a theme, and this month the theme is birthdays. And in addition to that, we produce a second card which becomes part of a tutorial bundle which becomes free with purchases. So if you live in New Zealand and you shop with me, you'll get the tutorial bundle for any purchase over $90. And if you like what you see but you don't live in New Zealand, of course you simply need to buy from a demonstrator from the team that's in your country. So I have used for my birthday cards, I've decided to use the same set for both of them. So I'm using the Artistically Inked stamp set, which bundles with the artistic dies, because I just love it. It's been around for a couple of years now, and it's still a favourite of mine. So one of the things I like about it is you can get such different looks with it. So for instance, this is the card I've made for the blog hop and the video that I'm about to do today. But this is the card that I've made that's going to be part of the tutorial bundle, made with exactly the same products, but such a different look. Anyway, we'll crack on with what we need to make it. So I have chosen, because I've gone for this vintage look, I've picked quite rich colours. So I've picked Blackberry Bliss as my card base, and as always for me, my standard card size is half of an A4 piece of paper, so it's 21 centimetres, scored at 10.5, and I've cut it at 14.8. But if you're a metrics an imperial person, then just use your standard size card base. And if you go to my blog and look at this, or if you've come here from my blog, the imperial measurements are there. So my card base, Blackberry Bliss. Now I've got a mat of Moody Mauve, and it's half a centimetre smaller. I've actually got two of them. So that's 10 by 14.3. The reason I've got two of them is I want to put one on the inside as well. So that's, an option. I'll pop that over there because we don't need it just at the moment. Now you also need some Very Vanilla, and that's half a centimetre smaller again. So this is 9.5 by 13.8. And I have two of them because this is for the inside, and you can see I've already used some of the stamps out of the dies, some stamps out of the set. So that is going to become the inside. I'll pop that aside. And I've got a blank piece the same size for the front. So those are the big bits. In addition to that, you're going to need a smaller piece of Very Vanilla to do the sentiment, and I stamped the Happy Birthday and Blackberry Bliss onto Very Vanilla, and because it was Christmas and I had out the Labels Aglow set on my desk, I've used that die from Labels Aglow. But if you don't have that, you could just leave it cut as a rectangle, or you might have some other die set in your stash that will give you a die cut if you don't want to just leave it as a cut piece. So there's the Happy Birthday. You're also going to need another piece of Very Vanilla to do a little bit of extra stamping. So I have stamped and die cut out of Very Vanilla 2 of that in Moody Mauve and 1 of that in Blackberry Bliss, and that was just from a piece of Very Vanilla. In addition to that, I have used a piece of vellum, and you can see it there in the background, my piece of vellum. I cut it with the Deckled Circles dies because, again, that was what's out on my desk. If you have Deckled Circles, it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th one out from the centre. And then once I'd cut it, I embossed it with the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder because I love that kind of distressed vintagey look that it's got going on. But you could use whatever embossing folder you like the look of. So there's that, and there's one other thing, and that is you need a piece of old olive, and from that I have die cut this lovely image here, this lovely die here, which is my second favourite die out of this set. The first being that gorgeous ornate one there. Okay, so that's all the bits that you need. And really it's a pretty straightforward card. The most I suppose, interesting technique-y bit of it is the making of this background, which is what I'm about to show you now. So I'm just going to use a bit of paper there to protect. Now the colours that I've used in this card are Blackberry Bliss, Moody Mauve, Old Olive, and there is Crumb Cake in there as well. First thing we're going to need is we're going to need this ink blotty stamp and Crumb Cake. So we'll start off with that, and all I'm going to do is just randomly stamp in Crumb Cake over this background piece. Okay, and then once you've done that, the next thing you're going to need is this rose stamp. So it is this one here, the one that you've already cut 2 out of using Moody Mauve. But this time we're going to go for the strongest colour. I'm going to go for Blackberry Bliss. And all we're going to do is we're just going to put 3 or 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, over. And again, I'm turning the stamp around so that they don't end up looking too uniform. 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want to leave them reasonably spaced out because you've got other things to fit around them, and if you have them too close together, I mean, you can still do it, but I kind of didn't want the leaves to be overlapping these bright flowers, these big bold flowers. So for that reason, I've left quite a lot of space, and it's probably better to start with a few and then add some more in afterwards than kind of crowd them out too much from the get-go. So I'm going to go for the leaves next, because the leaves is the next biggest stamp, and I've chosen to use that double. You could go for the little one if you like, but I've chosen to use that double one. So again, I'm just going to come in here, make sure I've got it inked up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Again, twisting it around so you don't always get them looking like a set of soldiers marching up the page. So again, I can come back in later and add in some more leaf if I want to. And then I'm going to come in with the Moody Mauve and that tiny little stamp there. And we're just going to add in some other bits of colour, of this colour. Okay, so that'll kind of get us going for now. And then the next thing we're going to do before we move on a step is I'm going to come back in with the Crumb Cake and a blending brush. And you see, because that's, you know, I like that, that's really quite pretty all by itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade a little bit around the edge just to give it a sort of a vignette effect. Don't want to go too heavy-handed because you don't want to make it look too dark. But just a, you know, a light little border of the sponging just adds to that sort of antique-y, vintagey look that I'm going for with this card. And again, as with most things, it's good to start light. You can always add stuff in, but you know, once it's there, it's there. So we'll just do that and see how that looks. And it's going to look a bit different once we take away all the messy background. Okay, so there is our base, and if we don't like it, you know, if we've got bits we don't like, when it comes to adding in our cluster, you know, we can do that wherever we like to minimize the bits we don't like. In that case, I think there's nothing I don't like. I think I like it all. Anyway, now we're up to assembly. So I'm going to take one of these Moody Mauve mats. Now, this is a choice. This is a moment of choice. Like, you can just mat it up rectangular and do it rectangular. In fact, you can do that perfectly easily. What I've done, though, is I've chosen to go asymmetrical. So I have attached this so that it's on an angle, and to try and line it up as best I can, what I've done is I've taken each corner and tried to make it touch the edge or as close to the edge as I can, and then you come in and this one you have to pretend that's not there and put it in as straight as you can. So the center one you're lining up with the outside edge, not this. So you can make yourself a little bit cross-eyed over it. I'm just wondering whether, just out of interest's sake, just to see what we like the look of better, I'm going to make this one. Maybe I will make it like that and we can see what we like best. Just so that we can see at the end of it, we can see the two of them and see what we like the look of the better. So this one. Okay, and this is the moment where we have to decide whether we want it up, which way is up, that way or that way. I think it's that way. Maybe it's that way. Doesn't really matter. It's whichever you like the look of is the way that's up. Okay, so we're just gonna tweak that one so it's nice and straight. Okay, so now's the bit where we get to have some fun assembling stuff. So you just need to get some Stampin' Seal or whatever, and just put a bit down. Oops. Okay, just pop a bit down. So it was a new one and I was having a bit of trouble getting it to start running. Okay, so then we're just going to get our vellum circle, work out which way is up. And then we're just going to attach it. Okay, so we've got our vellum circle, and then we're going to get our die cut flowers, and we're going to work out where we're going to put them and where we're going to put our sentiment. And we're going to attach them with some dimensionals. So we're just going to start with our roses, and we'll just pop them on. So one can go there. And one can go. Now I'm keeping my dimensionals fairly central here because I want to be able to pop around some leaves later. Now you can, if you want to, if you feel happier, you can put the leaves in first and then add the flowers. It's really, you know, up to you how you do that. Now that one's going to go in the middle. In fact, what we might do is move that one a bit further out. That one's going to go in the middle, and you can see that in the middle it's unsupported, but at the edges it's going over already raised up bits. So we only need dimensionals in the middle, and then we can just add a bit of glue to attach those. But before I do that, I'm going to get a little bit, I'm going to do a little bit of this leaf just to make sure that we have in fact got room for it all. So although it's a beautiful spray all by itself, we are in fact going to cut it up so that we can use it as we like. So I'm going to cut one there. I'm going to cut that there, and maybe there, and then perhaps we'll cut one there, and we might just cut those singly. Now you may or may not use all of these. So, okay, I want a couple that's going to go in there, and I'm just going to tuck them into there. I'm going to have, going to have a couple that go up there. Going to have one that goes in there, and I might have a couple that come down here. In fact, perhaps I might do it that way. I might do them there, and these ones down here. Okay. So I'm just going to pop a bit of glue at the end of these ones. I'm not going to glue the whole leaf down because I do want them to have a bit of lift. So I'm going to pop those ones in there. And then I'm going to add in my big blobby blackberry rose. And I'm actually just going to pop the dimensionals in place first. And then I'm going to put a bit of glue. Which way around is it going to go? Put a bit of glue. And then I can pop them in there like that. So those ones are attached. These ones I'm going to need to just tuck in. So I'm going to give them a bit of glue. Time to place our sentiment. Again, the sentiment is going over stuff that's already raised. There's probably a little gap there, where it might need some support. So I'm just going to pop a little mini there. And I think it's the same story on the other end. And then, so I'm going to use the dimensionals at those ends where it's hanging over here. But through the middle, it's just going to glue onto the flower cluster, and then I'm just going to line that up with my grid paper. And now I've got a bit of moment to make sure I can get that straight, and then when I'm happy I can press the dimensionals as well. Now the very last thing that we're going to do is add in some bling. And I'm using the iridescent rhinestone jewels just because I like the pinkiness of them and I like the glitziness of them. So we'll go for a middle-sized one and a big one. Where will the big one go? Big one can go over there, and perhaps a little one. The little one can go just tuck in there like that. Okay, so there we have it. There is our vintage style, slightly distressed, artistically inked birthday card. And this, of course, is what's going to go into the inside. And you can see it here. Oops, that's our new one. That is how it's going to look when it's done. And of course I've done it two different ways. The original one I have put the mat asymmetrically, and in this one I've done it straight up and down. So if you're going to make a card like this, you can choose the one that you like the look of the best. Now of course I'm always happy to answer questions, and I can be reached through the contact details in the video description below and through the details in the end card. If you've seen anything that I've used in the course of today's video and you want to add that to your craft stash and you live in New Zealand, of course you're welcome to shop with me. And again, the link is in the video description below. And of course, this whole tutorial is part of the Creativity Abounds blog hop. This is the card you get in the blog hop, and this is the card that you'll get the instructions for if you choose to purchase from me, and you get the free tutorial bundle, which of course is not only my card, but a project from the other 12 people in the group as well. So you'd end up with 13 projects, all on a birthday theme, if you would like to take advantage of that. If you like what you've seen and you haven't subscribed, please do so you don't miss anything new that I do. And above all else, happy stamping.